In Big Brother, even if you don't win a competition, you always have one thing that gives you power: your vote. Even if the entire house is against you and you're all alone in the game, you can still vote to evict whichever player you want. The choice is all yours, and you don't have to bend to the will of anyone else. With that being said though, people sometimes regret their decisions. Throughout Big Brother history, there have been a few times where someone was waffling back and forth on who to evict, finally landing on one of the choices, only to regret voting them out shortly afterwards. Sometimes it's an inconsequential vote, but sometimes it is the difference maker between someone being evicted or even winning the entire game. Consider subscribing to the channel or liking the video to help me out with the algorithm. And without further ado, here are 10 times that someone regretted their vote on Big Brother.
Jimmy, I'm so sorry I messed up. Jimmy, sorry.
No.
Now, I got two things that I want to mention first. One, the way I'm going to format this video is a little different than normal. 5 of these are going to focus on eviction votes, where the player regretted their decision almost immediately afterwards while still in the game, and that will comprise of the main meat and potatoes for today. But in between each one, I will have one small extra regretted vote that a player regretted way after the fact, like sometimes years later. Most of these extras will be jury votes with one exception, and the reason I'm considering them extra is because it's a lot different to change your mind years later with tons of additional context from being outside the house and all, compared to regretting your decision in the moment. If you're confused, then I'm sorry for confusing you, but basically, consider this a top 5 video with 5 bonus picks on top of that. And for the second thing, shout out to this viewer for the video idea.
Can't believe you're doing this to me. I have to choose between the worst Alliance member ever or the twin.
To kick things off, the first regretted vote that we'll talk about comes from a very recent season, Big Brother 26. I have talked about this particular vote in depth quite a few times already, so you may already be able to guess what it is. Angela voting out Kimo in week 7. Kimo and Joseph were on the block come eviction night, and as far as Angela was concerned, the majority of votes were going to land on Kimo. Angela had been told that this was the plan by many people, and it made sense because Kimo was visibly a part of a 3-person alliance that would become very scary as the numbers dwindled down. Although Angela actually really wanted Kimo to stay on a personal level and maybe even on a game level too, the numbers weren't there to save him. And on top of that, Angela's closest ally Leah, who had just stuck her neck out this week to save her with the veto, was super close with Joseph and wanted him to stay. So, on eviction night, Angela very sadly and begrudgingly voted to evict Kimo. However, in a crazy turn of events, Kimo ended up staying in a vote of 4-3 due to some really wild stuff that I'm not explaining here, but go watch this video if you want to learn about it. Angela was a bit flustered here because she had wanted Kimo to stay and had only voted against him because she wanted to be on the right side of the vote. But she ended up voting in the minority anyways. So she regretted voting for Kimo here and wished she had gone with her heart and voted out Joseph. And shout out to Angela because I actually messaged her about it and she confirmed that she did regret this vote. While we're at it, shout out to Joseph too, because I also messaged him about if he regretted voting for Angela to leave and for Tucker to stay the week before this. But that won't show up in this video because he confirmed to me that he didn't regret that vote.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I'm sorry, Kimo, I don't have the numbers to keep you. My vote is to evict Kimo.
By a vote of 4-3, Joseph, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
I really thought that the house was going to be all voting for Joseph to stay, and now I'm on the wrong side of the votes. But I really thought everyone was going to vote that way, and so I did too.
I figured.
Coming in for our first bonus regretted vote, we have a vote that would have changed a lot of Big Brother history. At the Big Brother 18 finale, Natalie voted for Nicole to win over Paul. And she claimed that one of the reasons she did so was because she was disgusted by Paul's vulgar language, and to quote her, "Paul called me the B word before my elimination, so I let that disrespect cloud my vote." However, after watching and reading the stuff from her season after the fact, she saw a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that Nicole had said behind her back all season long. And in 2020, during Big Brother 22, Natalie stated that had she known what she knows now, she would have voted differently, meaning that Paul would have been crowned the winner over Nicole.
Paul, some of the things you said were vulgar and crossed the line. Why should I give you my vote when you didn't give me respect?
Natalie has cast for Nicole.
Up next, we have another interesting one. But these are all interesting to me, so I guess that doesn't mean too much. In week 4 of Big Brother 8, Nick and Kale were up on the block come eviction night. In the 7-person majority alliance at the time, the late night crew had honed in on Nick being the target here, because he was a big physical threat, and a lot of people were convinced that Nick had cast a rogue vote the week prior. The only problem here was that Danielle, one of the members of the late night crew, was in sort of a showmance thing with Nick, and her dad, Dick, actually wanted to keep Nick. However, even with their 2 votes, and Zach's vote, who was currently the only person in the house voting for Nick to stay, it would only make it a 5-3 vote, and Nick would still get evicted. So, flipping their votes would be useless, and Dick and Danielle very sadly voted to evict Nick that night. Nick was indeed evicted from the house, but by a vote of 6-2, which was not the 7-1 that everyone was expecting. Not only did someone unexpectedly flip their vote to save Nick, but this also alerted the other players that Nick probably wasn't the one who cast the rogue vote the week prior, and that he was framed. Danielle quickly realized that because someone had flipped their vote, had she and Dick stuck to their guns and also voted to keep Nick, they could have at least forced a tie. Or had they trusted their gut earlier in the week and spent time trying to convince one other person to vote to keep Nick, then they could have saved him. And Danielle knew that she had made the wrong move here.
Hi, Dick. Please cast your vote.
Regrettably, I vote to evict Nick.
I vote to evict Nick.
By a vote of 6-2, Nick, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
I'm so upset. It was the second vote to keep him.
If you and me would have voted to keep him, and then we could have persuaded
Somebody else, he could have stayed. I believe him.
30 minutes after he walked out of this door, I trusted him 100%. And it was too late, and it sucks. And I know that we did the wrong thing.
Our second bonus regretted vote is kind of a silly one, because this was something that I don't think ever had a real shot of happening, but it's still worth mentioning. At the Big Brother 17 finale, Austin voted for his showmance Liz to win over Steve, which makes all the sense in the world. However, sometime after the season was over, and after Austin and Liz had broken up, Austin reached out to Steve and apologized for not voting for him to win, leading me to believe that he thought Steve played the better game and regrets his decision now. Even if it didn't matter at all, and come on, Austin wasn't not gonna vote for his showmance in the final 2.
So Austin, Steve evicts Vanessa, you'll vote for him over Liz?
I would definitely strongly consider it more than I ever would before. Steve, proud of you, boy. But in the immortal words of the Philistine poet Selena Gomez, the heart wants what it wants.
Austin, no surprise here, has voted for Liz.
Up next, we have back-to-back weeks of players regretting their votes, and this also happens to be the earliest examples in Big Brother history. So enjoy this 2-for-1 deal. At the final 6 of Big Brother 2, Krista and Monica were on the block, and Dr. Will was hoping to keep Krista, or at the very least, give her a sympathy vote because he promised Mike Boogie that he would look after her. But Will's allies at the time were adamant that he not do that and instead vote with the team. Will ended up voting Krista out here, and she left unanimously. But immediately afterwards, Will was actually really sad, and he felt small and cowardly that he bent to the will of Nicole and Hardy instead of giving her a sympathy vote, especially since Krista saved him in week 2, and he at the very least regretted his decision on a human level deeply.
Hey, Will.
Hey, Jules.
You look like you're in a good mood.
No, not really. I am voting to evict Krista.
By a vote of 3-0, Krista, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
I haven't cried in 10 years. I feel like the right decision would have been for me to give Krista a courtesy vote. I didn't do that. I truly felt, this big. I just felt like a total coward. I really felt I let Mike Boogie down. I knew I let Krista down. I just couldn't stand up and do the right thing, even for once.
In the immediate following week to this, we get a much more fun and exciting example of a regretted vote. At the final 5, Will was on the block next to Bunky, and Hardy and Nicole had control of this vote. Hardy initially wanted Will gone here, but Nicole was leaning towards keeping Will, and after some back and forth, Hardy eventually decided to strike up a deal with Will. If Will promised to not nominate both Hardy and Nicole at the final 4 if he were to win the HOH, which would effectively make the final 3, Will, Hardy, and Nicole, then Hardy and Nicole would vote to keep him this week over Bunky. Will took the deal immediately, and come eviction night, Nicole and Hardy stuck to their word and voted to keep Will, leading to Bunky's eviction. Not even a couple hours later, though, Will turned on the duo and threw the HOH to Monica, who then nominated Hardy and Nicole together. As soon as Will threw this HOH, Hardy and Nicole both immediately regretted their votes to keep him. And that is totally fair.
Hi, Nicole. How you doing tonight?
I've had better nights. I vote to evict Bunky because I have to. I'm sorry.
House guests, for the first time, we have a tie.
Because of the strategic nature of this game at this point, I choose to evict Bunky.
No. I came into this house to gamble.
All right.
I've never had such immense distaste for anybody in my entire life. Ever.
I made a deal with Will to let him stay. What does he do? He decides to throw it and take what's behind door number 1. Bunky even said, you're going to regret voting me out and keeping Will in. Well, not even 3 or 4 hours after the fact, I'm definitely regretting letting Will stay here.
Now, this will be the only bonus regretted vote that wasn't a jury vote. However, it's a bonus because it came out years after the fact, and I don't think this person regretted it while they were playing on the season. On the live feeds of Big Brother 14, Janelle was having a conversation with Boogie and Brittany about Dr. Will, and Janelle actually admitted to regretting her decision to evict Will at the final 4. Now, her reasoning was that she thought that her, Will, and Boogie would have been a deserving final 3 for the season, and, to quote her, Scrubbica didn't deserve to be there.
I really feel like this summer I've made a lot of mistakes in the house. After tonight, I'm done making mistakes. I vote to evict you, Will. Sorry.
And then you evicted him?
Yeah. Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and honestly, I really do regret that because I think it should have been us 3.
Totally.
And Scrubbica didn't deserve to be there.
It would have been a much better final 3. Much better TV, too.
For this 4th regretted eviction vote, we're actually gonna hop on over to Canada real quick. This is a pretty wild vote and result, so try and stick with me here. At the final 9 of Big Brother Canada 3, there was a triple eviction. And the way that this worked is that there would be 3 nominees on the block, but instead of voting to evict, the players would vote to save one of the 3 nominees, and whoever got the most votes would be safe, while the other 2 would be evicted. Kevin, Peely, and Willow were on the block, and Sarah really wanted to save Willow here and make sure that Kevin was sent home. However, a fight had broken out between Sarah and Bruno right before the players went to vote, and Sarah was very worried that Zach and Bruno were going to try and save Kevin here, which is the exact opposite of what Sarah wanted, because she wanted a strong guy to leave. There were only 5 votes here, and Sarah felt pretty confident that Godfrey and Ashley, the two other voters, were going to vote to save Pilar. So rather than voting to save Willow, Sarah voted to save Pilar, hoping that it would make it a 3-2-0 vote to save Pilar over Kevin, and then she could at least guarantee that Kevin left. Arissa then came out to read the vote, and Sarah was pretty accurate in her assessment, as Pilar did stay in a 3-2-0 vote, with Kevin and Willow being evicted. However, there is one thing that Sarah got wrong. Zach and Bruno weren't trying to save Kevin. They were actually trying to save Willow. So the vote was actually 3-2-0, with Willow getting 2 votes to stay, not Kevin. And Sarah realized that if she had just gone with her heart and voted to save Willow, Willow would have stayed. But she had the wrong read, and she really regretted her vote after the fact.
Hi, Sarah.
I want to save Willow, but hopefully if I save Pilar, God will too, and Ashley will, and we can keep a girl. So I vote to save Pilar.
Voting to save Willow.
I gotta save Willow.
Pilar, you are safe. That means, Willow, you have been evicted from the Big Brother Canada house.
Right after the eviction, Godfrey tells me that the guys were actually trying to vote to keep Willow and not Kevin. That means that I voted Willow out, and I'm really, really mad at myself. Ah! And she was my best friend in this house, and now I've lost her.
Sticking with Canada for the bonus, we actually have one of the final votes cast ever on Big Brother Canada. At the BBCAN3 finale, Tola somewhat surprisingly voted against his closest ally in the game, Anthony, and rather voted for Bayleigh to win. Tola claimed that this was because he felt Anthony didn't truly have his back in the game, and he further said that while in the jury house, he was continuously fed more stories that only backed this sentiment. However, shortly after the show ended and Tola went back and watched some of the season, he realized that he was misled while in the jury house, and that Anthony had actually fought for him throughout the game and was loyal to him. So, I think it's safe to say that Tola quickly regretted not voting for Anthony when all was said and done.
Bayleigh! Woo! Tell me why Anthony should lose.
Tola has voted for Bayleigh.
And now, for the final main regretted vote, we have the one that we're all thinking about. Ashley's vote to save Jimmy in Big Brother 27. In week 4, Jimmy and Kelley were on the block following the blockbuster, and it was pretty clear that Jimmy was gonna get evicted near unanimously. However, that wasn't gonna stop Rachel, Jimmy's closest ally, from giving it her all to try and persuade some votes in his direction. She immediately went and whispered in everyone's ear, "Vote Kelley out and keep Jimmy here," trying to convince or gaslight everyone into thinking that the votes were somehow there to save him. Unfortunately for Rachel, nobody was biting. But she had one more trick up her sleeve. Cornering Ashley in the hallway to the diary room before she could vote, and pleading for her to vote for Jimmy to stay, and claiming that the votes were there to get Kelley out. Rachel's mist must have been working overtime in this moment, because a very confused and conflicted Ashley then sat down and cast her vote to evict Kelley. However, it only took Ashley a whopping 19 seconds before she regretted that decision. As she passed Will in the DR hallway, she started conversing with him, and she quickly realized that, oh shoot, the votes are actually not there to evict Kelley, and Jimmy is going home. So, in a Big Brother first, Ashley Hollis sprinted back into the diary room and tried to change her vote to evict Jimmy. This left Julie Chen stunned and muttering, "Nope, nope, no, no," as this was not allowed, and her vote was locked in for Jimmy to stay. But oh my god, seeing the real-time feelings of regret spring onto Ashley and beckon her to try and change her vote live was one of the best live show moments in the show's history. and Will just standing there with the perfect what the heck is she doing stance made it all the better.
I don't think she's doing it. You have to evict Kelley. She said she'll do it. Yes.
I vote to evict. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to do. Kelley.
Who are we voting to evict? We are?
Wait. I messed up. I vote to evict Jimmy. Sorry.
No. By a vote of 9-2, Jimmy, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Who's the second person?
I thought it was you. I am actually frazzled right now, and everyone thinks I was the second vote to keep Jimmy. I mean, I was, but, you know, they don't need to know that.
Because of Rachel's impact on that final regretted vote, I figured we should circle back on Rachel for the final bonus vote. At the Big Brother 12 finale, both Rachel and Brendon voted for Lane to win over Hayden, which almost gave Lane the win in the close 4-3 vote. Although the two of them thought that Hayden played the better game, there was a very unflattering nickname that Hayden had come up with for Brendon that the two of them found out about. And because of it, they didn't want to vote for him to win, so they voted for Lane instead. However, as it turns out, Hayden wasn't actually the one to come up with that nickname. It was Enzo. And after some time had passed and Rachel and Brendon found out the truth post-show, they admitted that they regretted their jury votes and that they wished they had voted for Hayden. That's pretty funny stuff.
So I'm gonna have to say who is the best social player.
So again, I'm gonna have to agree with Rachel on this one, that my vote is gonna go to the person I think played the best social game.
The first vote was cast by Rachel, and it goes to Lane. Brendon has cast his vote for Lane.
Honestly, I should have won 6-1. Rachel and Brendon were bitter over something that I didn't even do. Enzo gave Brendon an inappropriate nickname. They were bitter at me, and that's literally the reason they didn't vote for me. You guys almost cost me $500,000 over something that Enzo did, not even me.
And there we go. Honestly, I'm a little bit tired of players walking out of the house claiming that they have no regrets. While I'm sure a lot of them genuinely feel that way, it is always refreshing to hear someone go, yeah, I messed up and I wish I had done this instead. So players who are open to admitting that they regret a vote that they cast is always something that I can appreciate. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I, of course, need to give that extra special shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons who I really, really, really hope don't regret supporting me because I really appreciate them and they're the best. And, as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
My vote is 150% secure. 150%.
Topaz has voted for Jillian.
Wait a minute. Wait, what? No, wait a minute. No.
Topaz.
No, someone switched it. I can't sit down. I can't sit down. I cannot sit down right now.
Topaz, I am sorry.